Okay, so this is going to be my review of Star Wars Captain Phasma. To be clear, before we get it started, this is a review of the comic, not the novel, which I have not been able to finish as of this recording. But yes, this is a review of the comic that was to tie in with The Last Jedi. And yeah, I got this at a convention for $5. It was like, yeah, why not, right? It seems like a good idea. I kind of dig Phasma as a background character, just aesthetically. So yeah. Now, when I was looking at prior reviews, people were saying, you know, in these reviews, like, oh, this is such an SJW comic. This is so SJW. Guys, I can honestly tell you that the only SJW thing about this is that it's a woman as the main character, and people are saying, oh, but Phasma's such a useless shit character. Why are they making a comic about a useless shit character? Right! Because Star Wars never did that before with background characters that we latched on to. I think there was a character fans really got into, and he had like several miniseries, and he had so much hype, so much so that Disney continuity brought him back in a way. What was his name? Oh yeah, Boba Fett! Let's not forget that Boba Fett this is exactly what Boba Fett did as well, you know. So Phasma's no in fact, Phasma did more than Boba Fett in the movies. Not by much, but mind you, it's a little more than in, you know, than in the three movies Boba Fett was in. Phasma's done more than in her scenes in her 2 movies than Boba Fett did in the trilogy. And I'm not trying to discredit Boba Fett, but I'm just saying, guys, you know, there's a bit of a double fucking standard here. You know, there's a bit of a fucking double standard for this, you know, for fans, in that Boba Fett had some amazing comics, but if you just go by the movies, he's done 2 things: Jack and shit. And Jack left town. So, yeah. Now, there you go, guys. This is not this comic is not some SJW agenda. It's just a comic about a character who, in all intents and purposes, is so anti-SJW, it's hysterical. Anyway, so, let's get started. Let's talk about the comic itself. This was a 4-issue miniseries that was to count. It also, funny enough, I believe this also came out when the novel came out. And it's funny that I bring up the novel because I think the novel, well, actually, yeah, you'd have to read the novel to get certain aspects with this comic. It's very clear that the writer of this comic knew about had some connection to the novel, because there are some stuff that they bring about Phasma's past that you would just have to know from the novel. In fact, wasn't it Kelly Thompson who wrote this comic? Didn't she also write the novel? Shit, I think she did. Could be wrong, but I think she did. I think Kelly Thompson wrote this comic. Anyway, so yeah, that's the thing, is that you would have to read, to get some of the full story, you'd have to read the novel, the Phasma novel, to understand some of the stuff with the comic. But anyway, so the artwork in here in this 4-issue mini is beautiful. I love the artwork in here. It looks just so shiny, and it just complements the Phasma's armor. And the aesthetics for the creatures in here, it's really cool. So the comic is, but there is a flaw in this comic, and I'll get into it, but let's get into the story. So the comic is a story of how Phasma escaped the destruction of Starkiller Base, as well as her hunting for this lieutenant who actually, she claims that it's the traitor who destroyed Starkiller Base, but actually it's more like he found out and was going to tell the First Order, so she's running off to chase after him, to kill him, to shut him up. Because we all know, yeah, she's the one who was forced to destroy to lower the shield that would inevitably lead to the destruction of the Starkiller Base. So she and a pilot, whose name they just call Pilot, because, yeah, the character, you know, the members of the First Order have these numbers issued to them, much like with Finn. So they just call her Pilot, and she has a BB-8 droid with her, and the 3 of them go to this planet that is home to these creatures who have come seeking, if I remember right, a kind of like a new life away from technology, and the indigenous creatures are wiping them out. So, the planet's actually very close to what Phasma grew up on, oddly enough, and it really brings up a lot of her memories. So let's get into the major flaw of this comic. This miniseries should have just been a one-shot, and I'll tell you why. It's not because it's bad, or it lags on too long. It doesn't feel like that at all. I feel like the story itself should have been like a mini-series that would have been a cool prologue to, if you just change some stuff around, a cool little prologue to, what was it? To the story of her hunting the guy from Starkiller Base. That could have been done as a one-shot. If you had just done the main stories like like before, in the 30-year time period before Force Awakens, I think that would have been a lot better, and the Starkiller Base destruction should have just been one big one-shot. And I'll say why, because honestly, this doesn't really tie in, this isn't exactly a good follow-in to Last Jedi, and the main reason is, as everyone knows, The Last Jedi takes place right after Force Awakens. It is immediately right after. But the comic states that Phasma had been away for 4 days, and also that would have been fine. Like maybe they could have had this line of this quick little line of, "Hey, glad you're here, but now let's get with General Hux. He's got the Resistance on the run." But the problem is that Hux is the person she runs into, and it's clearly like not. It's not on his destroyer. Actually, no, it is his destroyer. But it's not. But obviously, Hux was there right on the Resistance home base planet. So yeah, the problem. If you had just said, "Hey, we're just going to hook up with Hux's fleet, so you can get back to or have it that they go to the Supremacy." Something of that degree, or they're linking up with the Supremacy, that's fine. But yeah, the 4-day time gap, when obviously, yeah, The Last Jedi takes place right after Force Awakens. So honestly, I feel, but the story of how Phasma got off Starkiller Base is really cool. Although, did we really have to have a quick scene of Phasma seeing a quick glimpse of Rey and Kylo Ren's fight? Did we really need that? That was just like an, ooh, Phasma was there kind of moment. That feels like a little forced for me. The story in here, yeah, Phasma is a horrible human being, because she literally gets the indigenous life form the alien life form to fight a war so she can hunt down this, with the other race, knowing that they will meaningfully die. She manipulates them into doing so, just so she can kill a lieutenant that she knew was going to blow the whistle on her. It's an interesting take, because yeah, Phasma is a horrible human being. This isn't like some female empowerment comic, as people are like some reviewers claim this to be. This is just a comic of a woman, of anything. It's more like Captain Phasma's like the anti-version of the Leia comic that Mark Waid did, because Phasma manipulates an entire race into extinction, as well as kills a lieutenant who had nothing to do with her fuck up, and then kills the pilot that she was, that loyally served her. So yeah, this shows just the brutality of Phasma and what she will do to to cover her tracks. So yeah, it's a interesting comic. Well, like I said, the only problem is that it doesn't really form up with the Last Jedi timeline. But yeah, if this had been done like, if you had just done a Phasma one-shot, focusing on her, because you could have honestly, if you had cut granted the pilot's a cool character, but unfortunately she dies, so what would have been the point? But if you had cut her out and just had it that Phasma's just hunting this guy on the Starkiller Base as it's blowing up, and that would have been your lead-in to Last Jedi, like they had done a one-shot for 3PO and how he got the red arm, that'd have been fine. And you could have done this mini-series as like a story of her stranded with the pilot, and yeah, you could have had the pilot in a mini-series that would have been like, hey, this takes place before the events of Force Awakens. That's just me, though. So all in all, this is a good comic. I would say, like, it's better off in a you'd probably get it at a discount. It's a nice little Star Wars story that gives a little light to a background character, because Lord knows we've never had that before, right? Right, Boba Fett fans? Right? Yeah, such a one-tier shit character. She's, Phasma's such a one-tier shit character, right? Yeah, so. Anyway, but like I said, there are, like I said, the timeline doesn't really add up, and like I said, you would have to read the Phasma novel to get some of the things in here, like to get some of the points. But all in all, it's a decent comic. I would say if you're really interested, pick this up, but it would be a discount. I would say for just Star Wars fans collecting the comics, this would be good. Or if you want to just read more with her, like I did. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about this comic. Yeah, so you guys tell me in the comments below if you've read the Phasma comic. What do you guys think of it? Comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.